Hey everyone, here to talk today about the battles of Lexington and Concord. Lexington and Concord are two different cities. The battle took place starting in Lexington on April 19th, 1775, and it signaled the beginning of the American Revolution. Now, before we can talk about the beginning, the first shots fired at the American Revolution, we need to talk about one man in particular. That man's right here, Paul Revere. Now, Paul Revere was a member of the Sons of Liberty, and he was involved in the Boston Tea Party. He was very active in protesting British ways. You are familiar with Paul Revere's ride, but you may not know all the facts about it. So what we're going to talk about is how he was sent to warn that the British were coming. It's doubtful that he said that the British were coming and he was yelling it through the towns, because this was supposed to be a secret mission, so he probably wasn't riding through the towns yelling this. His job was to warn Samuel Adams and John Hancock, both members of the Sons of Liberty, that the British were on their way to seize weapons and to arrest these two men. He, however, Paul Revere, was not alone in doing this. He had two fellow riders, and more joined along the way. But the two fellow riders that we're familiar with are William Dawes and Samuel Prescott. Both these men rode with Paul Revere to tell that and warn that the Sons of Liberty that the British were on their way. A famous poem, The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, is something we'll take a look at in class and see if there are any inaccuracies in this poem as to what we know about the ride of Paul Revere. So we get into Lexington and Concord. Now, King George sent troops. He heard of a rebellion forming in the colonies. So he sent troops to arrest the leaders, who we talked about earlier, Sam Adams and John Hancock, and to seize all the weapons that they were stockpiling. However, the Patriots already knew, thanks to Paul Revere, that the British were on their way. The shot heard round the world. Now, there is a standoff between the Minutemen and the British in a field in Lexington. Now, the shot heard round the world is the first shots of the American Revolution. However, no one knows who fired on which side that first shot. That shot signaled the beginning of the American Revolution. During that first battle at Lexington, the British overpowered the Minutemen. We'll talk more about the Minutemen in a second. They overpowered the Minutemen at Lexington and then pushed them back to Concord. Now, what is this word Minutemen? Minutemen is a term, and there's a couple different variations, but they were the Patriots. They were the farmers who took up arms against the British. The term Minutemen comes from that the soldiers had to be ready at a moment's notice and ready to fight. Once these Minutemen got pushed back to Concord, more and more Minutemen came and joined the battle, and they were successful in pushing the British out of Concord and back to Boston. And as you can see, the revolution had begun.